अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरिः ओम्। भूर्भुवः सुवः भूर्भुवः सुवः गायत्री नमः गायत्री नमः। वेदमात नमः वेदमात नमः। वेदनिधि नमः वेदनिधि नमः। वेदमात नमः वेदमात नमः। वेदनिधि नमः वेदनिधि नमः। तमोनाशिनी नमः तमोनाशिनी नमः। रजोनाशिनी नमः रजोनाशिनी नमः। तमोनाशिनी नमः तमोनाशिनी नमः। रजोनाशिनी नमः रजोनाशिनी नमः। सत्ववृद्धिदायिनी गायत्री नमः सत्ववृद्धिदायिनी गायत्री नमः। तपोयोगदायिनी गायत्री नमः तपोयोगदायिनी गायत्री नमः। मोक्षप्रदायिनी गायत्री नमः। चित्तनिर्मूलिनी चित्तनिर्मूलिनी। संस्कारनाशिनी संस्कारनाशिनी। आनंददायिनी आनंददायिनी। गायत्री नमः गायत्री नमः। तमोनाशिनी नमः रजोनाशिनी नमः। वेदमात नमः वेदनिधि नमः। भूर्भुवः सुवः गायत्री नमः गायत्री नमः गायत्री नमः हरिः ओम। One who has less aversions and less desires in the mind will have more freedom in life. Such a person will feel an inner freedom most of the time, because aversions are less and the desires are less. The person who has many likes and dislikes, many desires and aversions, even though the person might have all the things that are connected with the wealth and richness, but still the person will feel the freedom very less. Very rarely he will experience the inner freedom, because the inner freedom is directly connected with the number of desires, aversions, likes and dislikes. We will enjoy a great amount of peace which is born out of that freedom within us when our mind is freed from dvesha and as well as raga. Because the people who are not liked by us, when they are appearing in our life in the midst of relationships, our mind will worry about them, will get agitated because of them. Their very thought will disturb the mind. Their actions, of course, disturb the mind. So the person will not have peace because there is no freedom inside. So the right way to have more peace within us and more freedom within us is to lessen these likes and dislikes through proper understanding. Another important thing in relationships is maintaining honesty. Honesty in connection with the relationships should be understood in this manner. When there are character defects in a person, if that person is honest, because any character defect which a person has will either directly or indirectly influence the others with whom this person is related. So their mind, their peace, their happiness will be affected. So when they point out the character defects, that it is because of this defect in you I am disturbed, I feel let down, I feel that I am not regarded properly because of your character defect. You are not showing proper respect or concern to me. Whatever it is, if anyone points out to this person who has character defect and also honesty, this honest person, without resisting, without denying, will immediately accept that very suggestion and will look into oneself. And all this will be possible because honesty gives a sense of inner security and a sense of inner freedom. Honest person in this type of practice of honesty in relationships will have less pain in the form of experiences in the due course of relationships. Because normally if someone hurts us, we will feel a lot of pain. But whereas this honest person will feel less emotional pain due to the hurt by others, because whatever they are trying to say, he is already aware of them. There is self-awareness and self-acceptance in this honest person. Self-awareness is there and self-acceptance is there. So the honesty is a great help in relationships. It does a lot of good to the one who practices it. If somebody says, I am hurt because of this and this person will have the interest to look into oneself and find out if that is right. And if he finds out that it is right, he will accept that and try to change that particular aspect of the personality which is affecting the other badly. Because the relationship has to be maintained in a more enjoyable and peaceful manner. Honest person will admit the defects that are there in him or her. By admitting the defect, this person will disarm others in the course of relationships. Once others are disarmed, then they cannot attack this person. Normally, when there is a character defect and when we deny, others will have this defect as a weapon or a missile to fire at us, to attack us. They will utilize this. Generally, it happens like that. The more we deny, the more they attack. The more we refuse, because they discover that character defect. It is visible externally, clearly visible, but still we deny. Because we don't want to improve. The one who denies is a dishonest person. Honesty is not only in external things, maintaining the accounts or telling things truthfully. We give importance and consideration only to this external honesty. But this honesty, which is connected with the inside of the person, is very important, because this bothers others more. I have certain qualities and traits which are badly affecting the peace levels of others, and I am responsible for it. And it is not proper on my part also to create such an inconvenient situation for others. And when others point out these things to me, if I am not honest, I will deny. And the arguments will continue. And I will blame. And they will also react. So the end result is lot of agony to both the people in relationships. So this honest person will look into oneself and accept the defect. The moment this is accepted, if there is a fault that is committed and then we accept, the other person who is pointing out this fault will not generate any negativity, will not get into anger, will not use this as a missile and fire at us, because we have already accepted. And when we have accepted, there will be no more negativity in the other person. It's very different way to deal with the people in relationships. By accepting such things when they are genuinely pointed out to us, genuinely pointed out, underlined. There are people who purposely point out things which are not there, just to disturb. That is their problem in relationships. So if anyone genuinely points out any defect, then if it is accepted, then there is more safety, there is more security, which is felt within oneself. And this safety and security is going to reflect in the relationships and make them more secured and safe. You and I also, when we discover certain mistakes and flaws, if the other person immediately accepts and says, I will try to change, I will try to check my behavior, I will try to rectify, we feel that we should give an opportunity to the person. And we also give. Because everyone will have defects which are more prominent to themselves and to others. So we should give an opportunity for others to rectify, to correct, to improve, to progress, to evolve, to advance, to change, so that they also become good and attain higher levels. If we don't give the opportunity, then they will become more dishonest. So it is always better for you and I to genuinely attempt to give certain opportunities for others to correct themselves. So when we give opportunity for others to correct themselves, if they are honest, if they are genuine, that's why I said few times we can try, then our attention should be continued towards them, our affection and love should be continued towards them. In spite of that, if they are not ready for a change, because there are such people in relationships, then we can have love within ourselves but from a distance, and we need not have any more concern for giving more opportunities to them, because one is not ready to change. One is not ready to improve. So this has to be understood clearly in the process of relationships. That is why it is said, the presence of humility and the absence of pride and pretense. The presence of humility and the absence of pride and pretense will create a comfortable growth in one's life. If there is pretending, if there is vanity, if there is pride, if there is no humility, then there will be lot of pain and the growth will be a painful growth. There might be slow growth, but there will be lot of pain experienced by the person. Because there is vanity, because there is pride, because there is no humility, and because there is pretending. I pretend what I am not. I automatically create a pain for myself. By not having humility, I become too rash and rude and ruthless. I create pain for myself, of course for others, that is their prarabdha and their lack of balancing of their own emotions, because of which they will experience lot of agony. So when we feel such miserable experience within ourselves, we should be able to understand that there are certain things which have to be corrected and rectified. Because a relationship is a great opportunity in life to attain progress. Higher minds see relationships as cooperative, whereas lower minds see relationships as competitive. Lower minds always see relationships as competitive. That person may snatch something from me. Because of the presence of that person, I may not get what I want to get. All imaginary things. Because you are there, I will not progress. Because you also evolve, I may not evolve. Your presence may lessen my popularity. Your growth may hamper my individuality, my recognition. So all sorts of things happen to individuals. Because they see relationship means competition. Oh, somebody will have something more than I. By looking at that, somebody else will get impressed. If that person will get more impressed, then what will happen to my quality? Then they may not get impressed. So either I denounce the person publicly, or I pull down the person, or I simply blame the person, or I try to tell tales about the person, or I exercise my authority and then try to curb the person and try to restrict the person's progress or opportunities to progress. This happens so many times between superiors and other workers. So many times it happens in life. We come across such things in our official place, in the place where we work, in the place where we interact because of various other projects and all. We come across such people who have various types of feelings, who cannot tolerate others' progress, others' talents, others' capabilities and capacities. So they see relationships as competitive. Even though others are not in competition, they think that they are competing. Who can lessen the disturbance in the mind of such people? They think that others are competing with them. They imagine others are competing, so others' presence will lessen my popularity, my fame, my name, my opportunities for growth, so on and so forth. I consider relationship as competitive. When I am considering a relationship as competitive, that means I am of a lower mind. Very clear. This is easy for us to understand whether we belong to lower mind or higher mind. If I see relationship as competitive in any manner, a child sees the attention given by the parents to the brother or sister also as a competition. A friend sees like that. It is possible in life. We see like that. Whenever we are seeing something like that, that means our mind is at a low level. Let us lift the mind for our own peace. So the higher mind sees it as cooperative. Higher mind feels, yes, this is an opportunity. I can know about myself. I can know what I don't know about myself, what I don't know about others, what I do not know, and what I am supposed to know. I can know. Because relationship is a great opportunity. I can get the cooperation, I can experience the affection, I can experience the love. I can help others and I can get helped by others. Together we can achieve lot in this world. So, higher mind will always see the relationship as cooperative. A lower mind will always see it as competitive. Lower minds will involve in relationships. They will involve with others. That's why they are affected. The moment they involve, the gunadharmas of the other person will influence the mind, will affect the mind. The words, the actions, the deeds will have an immediate effect on the mind when we involve with others. Lower minds always involve and get affected. Higher minds align themselves with others. This is very different. They align themselves. They also adjust. They also try to accommodate, but they align themselves with others, not involve. They align, they try to give, they try to help, they try to accommodate, they try to make the other person comfortable to an extent possible. They align themselves. but they don't get involved. The one who gets involved is affected, that person will react, that person will feel pain, will get disturbed and then get frustrated and they think of breaking away or then harming the other person, they get into violence. All this happens because we get involved in our relationships. Lower minds involve. When they involve, they expect, they demand, they compel, they insist, they resist. All this happens because of involvement. Get involved. If they get involved, they get affected. Any change in the other person, they get affected. Any expectation that is not met, they get affected. Any simple defect they see, they go to, make it a big thing. So they get involved. So such people will create problems for themselves and for others. Peacelessness for themselves and for others. But higher mind aligns itself with others. The people of higher mind align themselves. Some adjustment is needed, some alignment, align. So we take our cars for wheel alignment. They say if it is not aligned properly, it gets easily weared out. It wears out easily. Alignment for perfect balance, proper alignment. In life we need alignment in many things. Proper alignment, perfect balance. They will balance themselves, align themselves in such a way that others do not feel greater discomfort. They try to do their best. But involved people, they go out of the way to do something and they get out of the way when they do something. See, the people who involve go out of the way to do something. And when they shock, they get out of the way. They will not find any way. Even on highway, there will be no way. So what to do? Effect of involvement. When they get involved, it is like that. So the higher mind aligns itself. Because higher mind enjoys freedom. Lower mind is in bondage. Everyone is potentially free to be free. Is potentially free to be free. But that depends upon the choice which the person makes. If we make the right choice, we are free. Certainly free. So we have seen that a person who has less likes and dislikes and aversions will have more freedom. A person who is honest will accept the defects and try to change, so he will have more security, safety and freedom. A person who will not have any pretense, any pride, and who has humility will have more freedom. And we have also discussed about lower and higher relationships, higher minds. Another important thing which we have to understand is the trustworthiness in an individual, the levels of trustworthiness. In relationships, we come across one experience because of the acts of the others called as betrayal. People talk about it, betrayal. He betrayed, she betrayed, betrayal. Betrayal. They deceived, cheated, cheating. So, who does such things? This is an important thing. Whether they deceive or cheat or betray the nation, society, or the world at large, or an individual in their relationship. The one who has inner vanity. Inner vanity. There is a lot of vanity. They are so rude and so ruthless, so rigid. They want everything their way. And everything they take and compare only with their levels of vanity. They have to maintain that inner vanity. And those who are status seeking, those who have the status seeking attitude, they don't deserve, they seek the status. There is a difference. Others see the status in them and give them the status is different. But there are few who seek the status. They want the status. If they have the status, then only they will be comfortable and they will do what they are supposed to do also. Only when status is given. Even to offer prayers also people seek status. Status. When people visit temple to offer respects to God, there are so many people who discuss about how I went to offer prayer to God, how I was given an opportunity. But the most important thing there is offering the prayer to God. But I took a recommendation letter. I did not stand in line. I did not stand in queue. I was made to stand there for more time. Others were pushed out, but I was made to stand. And somebody escorted me. And I was immediately given. All these things become more prominent. Actually, they did not go to see the God. They went to see how others see them seeing the God. See, that is why these things become more prominent. And they take it as, pride. A matter of pride. They are not happy that they got the opportunity to see the God. No. How others recognize about they seeing the God. If nobody is there, they will tell, it happened like that to me. So, in presence of God, they want to show the status. See, that is how the minds are. Lower minds are always like that. Status-seeking attitude, inner vanity, jealousy. The people who have jealousy, because they don't have the capability to achieve things, and when others have achieved, they feel jealous. And they want to attain equal level. The easiest way is pull the person down. So equal level. And the people who have envy and malice-filled gossip. Envy plus malice-filled gossip. Because always there is malice in thinking and then seeing defects and then negativities and then constantly bombarding our thoughts onto other people, call them, give a coffee, call them, give a tea, and then make them sit and start talking about all negativities of all the people all around us, and then to talk more and more and more and gossip and gossip and gossip and give the tea, but don't allow the person to sip because of our gossip. So, and then pollute the mind and dump all negativity on the person, make the person feel totally disturbed. And by making such gossip and by listening to such gossip, and because of malice in that gossip, and because of jealousy, and because of status-seeking attitude, and because of inner vanity, such people are disintegrated in their minds. They get disintegrated in their personality. Disintegration of the personality happens. And such individuals will betray others. Remember, in society also, whether they betray the government or the institution or the people, this betrayal happens only because of such an attitude inside the mind. Once it so happened that a group of terrorists kidnapped politicians and they fed them to the lions in the zoo. The terrorists kidnapped politicians and they fed them to the lions in the zoo. Within a week they were arrested on the grounds of cruelty to animals. Because the animals were poisoned and disturbed with these vibrations. Somebody asked, what is the common thing between aliens Aliens means who visit from other universes and then all that, an alien from other solar system and all that. What is the common thing between alien and a politician? They say the common thing is people doubt after elections, do they exist? They become aliens. Like that we see so many people around us. They promise and promise and promise, and afterwards they miss. They go missing. So the higher mind is always very comfortable with oneself, very trustworthy. The people who have these negative qualities, they do not have integration, integrity, so they create disintegration even in the society through their betrayal. But one thing what happens is, the ripples of the thoughts that we create, the ripples of the choices that we make, the ripples of the acts that we perform, they come back to us. Every thought creates a ripple. And we create ripples through thoughts. And they come back to us. The ripples of actions, they come back to us. The ripples of choices, they come back to us. Everything we do, if it is positive, it supports us, it supports others, it supports and helps the world. We have to understand this. It really supports and helps the world also. For that, we should have good qualities in us and not fall a prey to these negativities. One husband wanted to buy a gift to his wife on the birthday of the wife. So he went for shopping. And he wanted to get a very good imported quality perfume for the wife. So he went and inquired about one such perfume, and they quoted the price. Oh, it is too costly. Show me something cheap. Then they took him to one place and showed it. He smelt it and then asked for the price. They said, oh, it is too costly. Show me something cheap. And then again they took to another place, another cabinet, and they showed it. Oh, that is costly. Show me something cheap. Then again they took it. Then he said, more cheap. Then again more cheap. Again more cheap. Then he said, show me that which is cheap. Cheap. Show me that which is cheap. Then that sales manager said, look into the mirror. You wanted me to show that which is cheap, no? Look into the mirror. What will be there? His face will be there. That is cheap. Because your love for your wife is cheap. That's what he commented. Later on, the sales manager. What to do? People are like that. They want to give gift, but naam ke vaste, they want to give gift. Somebody said, the man who gives in. See, people when they argue, there are some people who always give in. Okay, I give in, I give up, I give in. The man who gives in and apologizes when he is wrong is a wise person. He is wise. The man who gives in and apologizes when he is wrong is wise. The man who gives in and apologizes when he is right is a husband. Probably because that person knows the art of maintaining peace in relationship. One husband asked his wife, "Darling, what can I give for your birthday?" She said, "Divorce." What can the husband do at that time? If the relationship is not properly maintained, if there is so much of dishonesty within oneself, people are going to create lot of problems for each other. That's what happens in relationships. They create problems for each other. In order to create more peace in relationships, we should be very careful about the levels of honesty, the levels of freedom, and how can we gain them. That idea and understanding also should be there with us. That's why it is said, a common thing that people ask from others in relationships is maturity. People say, maturity, we need maturity in life, you need maturity. Each person points out to the other, you need maturity, you need maturity. Now, what is maturity in connection with relationships? What is maturity? See, it is said like this. Learning how to be comfortable with uncertainty is maturity. See this is what is actual thing. Learning how to be comfortable with uncertainty. We are comfortable with certainty. If everything is certain in life, if we are sure about something, we are comfortable. If everything is happening according to that surety, we are comfortable. If anything is uncertain, we are not comfortable. Maturity means what? This is what is maturity. To be comfortable with uncertainty. That's what is maturity. That's what happens in our lives. All around us. Things are not certain. Relationships are not certain. Feelings are not certain. So there is uncertainty. The world is like that. There is uncertainty. If you do not have maturity, we will suffer. Unnecessarily we will suffer. Maturity. Simple. Be comfortable with uncertainty. How to attain the levels of maturity? This is a big question to be answered. How to attain levels of maturity? How? It is answered in this manner. It is said, first thing that we have to do is lift ourselves out of tamoguna. Gunas in relationships now. Tamoguna, inertia. Tamas, sloth, slumber, attitude of postponing things, laziness, irresponsibility. All this is connected with tamas, darkness, ignorance, dullness, delusion, always deluded. We have to come out of tamoguna. The one who is in tamoguna has lower levels of behavior, lower emotions. One who is in tamoguna. There is grief. There is guilt. So all such lower emotions are there in the person. When others try to help, resist. Tamoguna. The people of tamoguna, they do not take responsibility for their actions and the consequences of their actions. See this. They do not take responsibility for their actions and the consequence of their actions. Actually speaking, people of tamoguna are in that level where they suck the energies of the others. They are sucking the energies of the others, tamasic people. They always try to weep, get into sadness, gloominess, look life as an impossible task to continue, look problems all around themselves, manufacture new problems, see problems when they are not there. Pretend. So many things happen. Tamasic level. They don't take responsibility for their feelings. Tamas. And such people, how can they attain maturity? If they don't leave their negativities. So when we have such tamasic people around, we are bound to face lot of problems because of such people. They will be there. They don't want to change because they resist the change. They don't want to improve. And yet, they want things in their control. What an interesting thing is this. Tamas. So we have to come out of these specific qualities that are there. We have to take responsibility for our actions. And then we can come out of tamas. At least we can come out of the borders of the tamas. Into the borders of rajas, rajoguna. That's enough. We will do away with one dreadful quality. Guna, property, character, characteristic. We should take full responsibility for the consequences of our actions. When we take responsibility for the consequences of our actions, then we feel concerned about others. We see, oh, these things we should not do. Utter lower tamasic levels are the people, utter lower tamasic levels of evolution are the people who go on destroying life in the society, destructive methods they employ to achieve their ends. Terrorist organizations, so on and so forth, they are lesser than few animals in levels of evolution. Their level of consciousness, in fact many animals, they are not even up to the level of animals. Because animals, they kill the prey only when they are hungry. There is a purpose, their survival. But these people, they destroy everything in the society, harm the lives of others, purposeless. There is no need for them. They don't achieve anything. Some foolish concept, some foolish thought in their mind. Destroy. Destroy life, destroy people, destroy social structure, destroy property, destroy. They are lower in evolution than the animals. Think. They are far, far, far below the levels of cats and dogs in evolution. They got the human body, that's all. See, think, their level of consciousness is very low. Tamas. So people of tamas, depending upon their utter low level and average low level and so-so low level, and that also there are grades. There also there is competition. Whatever it is. So, if we have people who belong to tamasic origin in our relationships, we should have a different attitude to deal with them. The best thing that we have to provide to them is understanding, somehow wait for them, very, very, very kind and generous to them, without involving, with only aligning. If we involve with tamasic people, gaye kaam se. So, they have to become responsible for their actions and the consequences of their actions and the feelings that they undergo. They should stop resisting. So these are the qualities that an individual has to learn to come out of tamas. The next thing is rajas. Rajasic quality. In rajas there is lower rajas and higher rajas. Lower rajas is agitation, then propulsive attitude, and then always hurry, always worry, always, and then making everybody shake and shiver and run around and getting tensed up for nothing, and then simple things creating a lot of agitation, and then make agitation in others' minds also, always in a hurry, and then tension, and then anxiety, all this. Lower rajas. Of course, better than tamas. Lower rajas. At least they do something to be corrected, so that we can correct. And there is little more higher rajas. In higher rajas, there is constructive thinking, not destructive. Constructive thinking, constructive acting, constructive togetherness. Higher rajas. There is constructive togetherness. One should transcend the rajas, meaning all the lower aspects of it. Higher rajas is on the borders of sattva, close to sattva. So higher rajas. Constructive thinking, constructive performance of actions. They have a constructive bent of mind, not destructive. Togetherness. They get into teams and work for a common goal. All this is possible. There is a lot of activity going on, but with the team spirit, with togetherness, with bonding, with a vision, all that it happens. So one has to come out of rajas also. Meaning that lower level of rajas. And also, in the levels of evolution of consciousness, one has to go beyond that rajas. Keep little bit of rajas, that's all, which is guided totally by another quality. So somehow or other one has to move out of that also, slowly. And then comes the sattva guna. Sattva. Sattva is directly connected in relationships with peace and tranquility. There is awareness. There is watchfulness. There is patience. There is practice of good values. There is purity. There is clarity of thinking. There is sincerity. There is a spirit of dedication. They are inspired. They genuinely love and appreciate others. They give opportunities to others. They are totally responsible and mindful and conscious of their actions, not only actions but their words, and also about their thoughts. That's why they have peace. That's why they have tranquility. They are very, very conscious of their thinking process. They know what they think. They know how to make others think properly. So this is all connected with sattva. There is no hurry. There is no anxiety in them. There is clarity of purpose, clarity of vision. There is no conflict in their minds. There is no division in themselves. There is no disintegration. There is total integration. A sattvic person finds complete integration of all the personality layers in oneself. Because there is integration, they create integration, they promote integration in the society. They work for the common good. They lift the levels of the peace and happiness in the lives of others. They bring light to others. They bring joy to others. They design programs that do common good for everyone. They take everybody along with them. They share their talents. They utilize their energies for everyone. They include everyone into their fold. And they have a greater hold on that relationships. Their presence constantly inspires others. They add to inspiration levels of others. They guide people in the right direction. They'll guide themselves properly. They receive higher energies. They distribute the higher energies to others. They block the lower things from entering them. There is selflessness in them. A spirit of surrender to the higher ideal in them. Their words have a magical charm where people are guided towards proper paths. Sattva guna. They have lot of inner serenity. Mind is calm. Mind has strength and a taste of real freedom. They experience true security. And they have total maturity. They see opportunities in difficulties. They see harmony in disharmony. They always look for the brighter side, even when there is darkness around. They know that things are possible. They have high hopes. And they become instruments for cosmic energies, for cosmic beings. All this is connected with sattva. Such people bring lot of joy to others. They become instrumental in the evolution of others. So in relationships, maturity meaning getting into the higher levels of sattva. Overcoming tamas, getting out of tamas, refining the rajas, and keeping only the very high traces of rajas for some activity which is guided by pure sattva. The presence of such people will make lives beautiful. Whenever they touch others' lives start glowing because they carry the glow with them. There is an inner glow in these people of sattva because they are regularly in contact with the inner light and they are not interested in any fight. They can easily ignore the shortcomings of others. They can forgive themselves and others. They are totally trustworthy and completely truthful. They give value to the inner in preference to the outer. They are not in competition. They know that the things will gravitate towards them when they do what is right. Whatever they think right according to the scriptural understanding, according to the great standards set by the evolved people, they do the things in the right manner and they know things will gravitate to them. But they do it. So all this makes the person beautiful and life also beautiful. So let us look into the Shastra Pramana for this so that we can get more inspiration to practice these virtues, to get into more sattva, to get out of rajas and tamas, and to be totally firm in sattva guna. How we can get there? That also is important. So, Vidyaranya, the great exponent of Vedanta, in Anubhuti Prakasha, the chapter Maitrayaniya Shakha Vivaranam says, Yo Vedenodita Vidya Sa Bhutatma Pratikriya Tapo Yogastutirbodhascha Uktam Vede Chatuштayam Yo Vedenodita Vidya Sa Bhutatma Pratikriya Tapo Yogastutirbodhascha Uktam Vede Chatuштayam. Vidyaranyaji says, the Vidya that is prescribed in the Vedas, the knowledge that is there in the Vedas, whatever prescriptions in the form of knowledge are present in the Vedas, they serve the purpose of removing the state of being an individual soul, Bhutatma. Yesterday we have seen, when we say ourselves as Jivatma, Bhutatma, that is limited, that is confined, and we consider ourselves as mortal, always affected by everything that is happening around us. Anything that is there in the mind is disturbing us. Anything happening around is influencing us. Facing lot of difficulties and problems with everything in this world. Easily getting perturbed with everything. So on and so forth. Yesterday, in the end, we have seen a lot of discussion regarding this. So, a limited individual soul, seeing all limitations in oneself. So that sense of limitation will be removed. That Vidya serves the purpose of removing the state of being. It makes the mortal, it removes the mortality, it makes the mortal immortal. It removes the immortality, it removes the limitations. It makes the finite infinite. That Vidya has got that special charm. The one who is frightened with death, the one who is chained by birth and death, the one who is chained by the impressions, habits, all kinds of bondages, one who is completely under the shackles of desires, likes and dislikes, negative traits, all that. All the limitations are removed by the Vidya. In fact, the very limitation of being an individual soul is removed. One becomes all-pervading, leaving that limitation. How? It is set forth as fourfold in the Veda. Four things are very important for this mortal to become immortal, for this finite to become infinite, for this limited being to become unlimited, for the one who is bound by all things around to become boundless, for the one who seeks for some moments of joy to become the one who carries joy in all the moments. There is a spontaneous expression of joy when a person reaches that level. There need not be any attempt because of the evolution of the levels of consciousness. Automatically there is the presence of joy without any doing, without any effort. One constantly is in joy. But that depends upon the level of evolution of consciousness. Now we attempt to do something to get some joy. But still it eludes us. So it is said, it is fourfold path to gain that absolute level, complete level, total highest level. What are those four? First one, tapas. First one is tapas. Tapas does not mean sitting in the forest, sitting cross-legged, and afterward do not know how to release that cross-legged posture, or standing upside down on the head instead of feet, or hanging onto the trees, or hanging onto the people. It's not like that. Tapas doesn't mean that. Or growing the beds and start eating grass and say it is tapas. It's not like that. It's very simple. Here it is explained in a different manner altogether. Very different. Not forcing oneself into rigorous, rigid austerities, having all fire around and standing in between in the hot summer, and having all ice blocks and sitting on one ice block in winter when the temperature is going down now. That is not called as tapas here. Here it is not called as tapas. Tapas. Second one, yoga. Let us not confine this yoga to only asanas and only breathing. They are ordinary levels of yoga. Actual thing is higher. They might be beneficial. They might add to some peace because of lot of disturbance that is there in our lives. But let us not confine this yoga to that level. Second one is yoga. Third one is stuti. Ye to humko pata hai. Whenever we want to get our things done, stuti. And after the things are done, just a spelling correction, sutti. Like that. So stuti. So we know this art, praising people to get things done. And even though they don't deserve our praise, still we praise. Still we go on pumping them, knowing very well that the balloon will burst one day. Go on. That is not the thing which is said here. Stuti is totally different level. Praising God, that is fine. But praising God, what level? It is here totally different explanation. It's a complete package for the finite, for the finite to become infinite. Complete package. It's a package. Very beautiful package. Not many slokas also. Half a dozen, maybe. But fourfold package. If we practice, we are bound to attain that highest. So the third one is stuti, fourth one is bodha. Bodha, learning. Bodha, learning about the highest. Knowing the highest. Being the highest. The knowing is being there in that levels. There is no difference between knowing and attaining. Knowing is already attaining. If you know it, you have attained it. That is the level bodha. Normal level bodha is teaching. Even lower level bodha is lecturing. Whether others are interested or not, lecture. Even lower level gossiping. Even lower level hammering others with the words. See, different levels of bodha. So these are four things which are very important. what we want, to go beyond death, to go beyond misery forever, to go beyond pain forever, to go beyond limitations forever, to go beyond transmigration of birth and death forever, to get into the levels of God and be there with Him forever. Fourfold: tapas, yoga, stuti, bodha. Now, Vidyaranyaji will explain what is tapas. What is tapas? Swashramochita dharmo yaha sa evasya tapo bhavet shantasyu moha trushnadyaha tena tamasa rajasaha swashramochita dharmo yaha sa evasya tapo bhavet shantasyurmoha trushnadyaha tena tamasa rajasaha. Tapas, in the case of individual soul, consists in performance of the deeds relating to one's stage in life, one's ashrama dharma. Stage meaning ashrama dharma. Brahmacharya ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, Sannyasa ashrama. In Brahmacharya ashrama, what one is supposed to do? Accumulate knowledge, become more humble, serve the teacher who is imparting the knowledge, know the knowledge of all the fields, become well informed, become equipped, become capable. Also in Brahmacharya ashrama, taste silence because of the teaching of the master, taste peacefulness, because once in Brahmacharya ashrama in front of the teacher, learn all the subjects which are necessary for life, for achieving things in life, for attaining higher progress in life, for adding peace to the society, taking society ahead, all that knowledge, and also the knowledge about meditation and peace and spiritual practices. All this is attained in Brahmacharya ashrama. Those people who don't do their duty in Brahmacharya ashrama, they wreak havoc in their lives and the lives of the others in Grihastha ashrama. Yes, the people who are wreaking havoc in lives of others and themselves are those people who did not do tapas, meaning who did not do what they are supposed to do, what they ought to do, what they should do in Brahmacharya ashrama. Neither the parents have that awareness, nor the children have that awareness. Parents always are pointing out, more money, more study, more money, more study, more tutorial, more. That's all. Afterwards, when they kick them, they will see, "Ayyo, what I have taught to them." Because now the parents will send them to tutorials, the children when they grow send them to old age homes. Old tutorials, that's all. This is what happens. Always money, always competition, always society, always everybody is competing. That's all in the mind. Are peace, learn to smile, learn to enjoy yourself, learn to be with yourself, learn to love, learn to help, learn to assist, learn to cultivate positive qualities, learn to find happiness without anything, learn to find mature. ये कौन बोलता है भाई? हाँ? कौन सिखाता है? किसको टाइम है? किसके पास फुर्सत है बोलने के लिए? Competition, run, rush, compete, grab, snatch, possess, acquire, grab, loot. cheat, bluff. ये टीच करते लोगों को, and then we send such people into Grihastha-ashrama. What they do? What do they do in Grihastha-ashrama? They are already miserable. They create misery for the other person also. Eh? And from such Grihastha-ashrama, which is already shattered, if they come into Vanaprastha or Sannyasa, or the places where there is Vanaprastha practice or Sannyasa, when they join such places, what will happen? God only should know. Think. First leg itself is very important. Brahmacharya ashrama. Are we doing tapas in Brahmacharya ashrama? Are we following the code of discipline? That is very important. So, tapas in the case of individual soul consists in performance of deeds relating to one's stage, ashrama. In Grihastha ashrama, are we following the principles of Grihastha ashrama? Sacrificing, seeing the positivity, giving opportunity for the other person to overcome the negativity, excusing the other, forgiving the other. Everybody will have shortcomings and limitations. Give opportunity for the other. Allow the person to overcome the negativity. Allow the person to blossom. Sacrifice yourself. Share the responsibilities. Dedicate yourself for the good of the family, for the good of the society, children, friends. A very different responsibility in Grihastha ashrama. So many people are connected with, offer some sacrifices for God, celestial beings, help the animals, nurture some plants, throw some grains to the birds. The Grihastha ashrama has so much of responsibility. Protect the environment, nature. Grihastha ashrama is not simply tying the nuptial knot and get knotted afterwards. So much of responsibility, Grihastha ashrama. Then Vanaprastha ashrama. After successfully living the Grihastha ashrama, when the children are ready to take over Grihastha ashrama and responsibilities, not force one's own stay there and then start fighting with them, bossing over them, troubling them, cornering them, disturbing them, dominating them, dictating how they should live their life. Give suggestions when they ask you. If they don't ask you, be happy that they don't ask you. If you want them to ask, they may ask you to get out. Vanaprastha is focusing more onto the higher, but using your wisdom, using your experience for the betterment of the people, children, other youngsters who have knowledge but no wisdom. But you have wisdom and experience because of rich life. So be there, ready for help, ready for assistance, but when asked and when required. If it is necessary, go. Otherwise, be there. Focus on the higher things. Become more and more wiser in spiritual levels also. Do some inner journey, inner progress. Read more. Learn more scriptures. Vanaprastha ashrama. Are we doing? Or till we are reminded by others, we will not go. Sannyasa ashrama. Living 3 stages of life. Seeing Brahmacharya ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, and Vanaprastha ashrama. Still not finding total peace and contentment. Approximately 3/4 of 100 years, 75 years one has lived approximately. And not finding total contentment and peace. And what more contentment can be found in the world if one has not discovered in 75 years? So better find a different path now. अब बाहर नहीं मिला तो भीतर मिलेगा. जाओ भीतर, अंदर जाओ. कैसा भी जाना है, कैसा भी जाना है तो जाने से पहले अंदर जाओ ना. अंदर जाके जाओ ना. अंदर नहीं होते जिंदगी में बाद में, नहीं तो अंदर हो जाते. हाँ? अंदर गए तो अंदर नहीं होते. तुम ऑलरेडी अंदर होते सो अंदर नहीं होते. अंदर नहीं होते तो क्या होते? बंदर होते. उतने ही होते. So Sannyas ashrama also is necessary in stage, in life, no? After leaving life, सब देख लिए और क्या देखना है? अभी देखने के लिए आंख भी ठीक नहीं है, अभी क्या देखना है? खाने के लिए दांत ठीक नहीं है, देख ले कि नहीं है, आंख ठीक नहीं है, अभी क्या है? भागने के लिए पैर भी ठीक नहीं है, अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा ठीक है, दैट्स ओके, बट व्हाट इज नीड नाउ? Go inside, look at the higher, prepare the ground for next birth, eradicate all sins that are done, do severe sadhana, dedicate whole time for God, for practice. That is sannyasa ashrama. Don't crave for things even in that stage of life. Try to think what is beyond death. What is immortality? Focus on that higher levels of practices. So this is what is tapas, my dear. Now people say, no, you have to do things in the right age and all that. Same thing he is also telling. Do things what are supposed to be done in that particular age. We talk only about external pleasures. He is talking about wholesome life and living. Everything, package. Tapas, simple. Tapas means this is what it is. A brahmacharya ashrama, we have to do whatever we are supposed to do. Grihastha ashrama, we have to learn. That's all. That is what is tapas. So what a beautiful solution he has given. By doing that, it is said, one comes out of delusion, which is the effect of tamoguna. One comes out of desire, which is the effect of rajoguna. Meaning they will be subdued. The aversions, likes and dislikes and desires will be subdued. The delusion, the illusion, so on and so forth will be subdued. The tamas and rajas will be controlled and subdued because of tapas. See what tapas does to us. A systematic planning of life. That is tapas, that is enough. It helps us to manage our life at each particular stage. Systematic way of living. So tapas subdues tamas and rajas. And what happens when they are subdued? Tachantau sattva vriddhi syat sattvena एकाग्रताधियः तयात्म तत्त्वानुभवस्ततः तयात्म तत्त्वानुभवः ततो मुक्तो न संसरेत् तच्छान्तौ सत्त्ववृद्धिः स्यात् सत्त्वेनैकाग्रताधियः तयात्मतत्त्वानुभवः ततो मुक्तो न संसरेत्. What a simple way to attain mukti is being told here. When delusion and desire are subdued, tat shantau, tat meaning delusion and desire, effects of tamoguna and rajoguna are subdued, sattva vriddhi syat. Sattva guna becomes predominant. Now, how to make sattva predominant in our lives? Subdue the rajas and tamas. Sattva guna becomes predominant. And sattvena ekagrata dhiyaha. By that sattva guna, mind becomes concentrated. We achieve and attain the concentration of the mind and intellect. Steady, focusing concentration of the mind and intellect. Through sattva. Without attaining sattva, simply by attending workshops on meditation will give temporary satisfaction that we know the technique, but it will not serve the purpose. That's all. 80 to 90% of the people who attend meditation workshops don't practice. Survey. They go there to get satisfaction that there is something. Think. Sattva guna is very important. When we have sattva, automatically mind will become calm, agitation less. Wherever we show the direction, it will go in that direction. When we show a destination, it will go there. A goal, it will go there. Meditation, it will meditate. Contemplation, it will contemplate. Sattva guna is very important. Sattvena ekagrata dhiyaha. So, sattva guna. With sattva guna, by that sattva guna, mind and intellect become concentrated. What happens with this concentration, steady focusing of the mind and intellect? Tayatma tattva-anubhavaha. Meaning, by that, there is tattva anubhavaha, realization of one's own self. One's own self, inner self, tattva, the truth, the reality is realized by the mind which is steady, focused and concentrated. Focused. Steady concentration. Those things which make mind unsteady and lethargic are tamas and rajas. Rajas makes unsteady, tamas makes lethargic. When both are subdued, mind becomes sattvic, full of concentration. Show the direction, it focuses itself. Steady focus. Like in Bhagavad Gita, they give the example that lamp without any pressure of the wind, the light of the lamp that goes straight upwards. Similarly, the sattvic mind goes concentration straight towards the higher reality. Because that wind, pressure, which shakes that lamp, rajas and tamas, they are not there. Think. So, one realizes the self and tataha mukto na samsaret. Tato mukto na samsaret. Meaning, then one is liberated and would not experience transmigration. No more birth and death. No more dying and taking birth. One goes beyond birth and beyond death. How? Through realization of the self. How? That is attained through concentration of the mind. How? That is gained through sattva. How? That can be gained? Subdue tamas and rajas. How? That can be subdued? Do tapas. We have learnt about tapas. The more we see in the days to come, tomorrow and the days to come. Harihi Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.